Hello, passengers. Welcome to your Hollywood reading for the month. As you can see by the title, we have a nice number of things to address. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with Hollywood in general. And I have little notes here. So I feel like I'm being guided to start with Hollywood going global. To those of you who have been here for a while and on my old channel when I first started doing Hollywood readings, one of the biggest things that we always got and picked up on is that Hollywood would have to surrender in order to restore itself and rebirth itself and start looking for that new DNA, right? Remember I said they'd start looking for that new DNA, and they let the old Hollywood die off and have to fend for themselves. Yeah, we're here, right? So what I want to do is start with this House of Giza, you know, where they're going to have I don't know how many days of an event over there. The Grammys, you know how they have the events before the main event. I don't know if it's before or after, whatever. But basically they have a multi-day event there, and they plan to do that in Giza this year, in Egypt, well, in 2026. And one has to wonder what's going on, right? So the first thing that I will redirect y'all to is what I pointed out when I said they'd have to restore and they have to look for new DNA, right? So what's the best way to find that? Is to do what? Go global, right? And then I tell y'all a lot of them would move out of America too as well. Aren't we seeing that unfold? Yeah. In addition to that, look at how much access now they'll have to other forms of talent in other places in the world, right? Not just America. America is known to be the main entertainment hub for music, right? Now they have to get off that land. Remember, that's where the fire came from. That was the start of it. So we'll just break it down, and I'll just tell you the dots that I've connected with what I've been getting spiritually from when I first heard it. I would like to thank a dear friend for calling this to my attention, because other than that, y'all, I'll be tapped out. I don't know unless people tell me. It's the only way I can remain sane. So I guess it was time, even for me to know. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. And that's what we're going to start with. And I have a couple of key points that I want to make through Spirit, that Spirit pointed out to me regarding it. And we're going to look at what they're up to with that. Then we have Tory Lanez here. An update on Diddy. An update on Nicki Minaj. And we're going to see how far or how deep this thing is going to get with Jay-Z and Beyonce. And those are our topics for today. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Ready. Welcome to my newbies. Hello to my oldies. My name is Diamond, and you are watching Pretty Blind Eyes. The readings held on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The discussions held on this channel should not be taken as literal advice. I am legally blind, so I do read Braille on my cards to decipher what they are, but I'm an overall intuitive reader. In the description box below, you can find several ways to interact with me, one of which is the availability to book private readings. That calendar is open. Thank you guys for all the love, support, gifts, donations, journeying with me, and patience. Everything is going to be restored soon, renovated, recovered, all that re stuff. Definitely. Okay, so keep it locked here. Keep your eyes on the community tab for updates and changes, and we're going to make these transitions as smoothly as possible. All right, so should I generally pull cards first, or should I start with Spirit? Let me pull cards first. Maybe it's just going to match anyway. But yeah, so yeah, now we're seeing it, right? We're seeing that Hollywood is going what? Global. And then we was talking about this in what, 2023? Yeah, we're here. Another thing that Spirit wanted me to point out too is and I think this is going to tie into the Tory Lanez situation. What they wanted me to point out with that is this. A lot of things are going to be kind of going on hold, because it's like, how do I explain what's happening here? And what the whole point and the fact of the matter is that they're surrendering, right? And of course, we all have caught on that a lot of this is going to be energy harvesting, but it's a start over. And they know they have to get away from all that they cause destruction to get a new start. So a lot of it will be surrendering. you know, they're like shooting their last shot. You know, it's a very apologetic energy. It's a very surrendering energy. How else can I explain it? And it's definitely energy harvesting. It's definitely a transition. And it's definitely the energy that we used to get where I said that wherever you are, as and within old Hollywood, they're going to just leave you there to fend for yourself. So that's why they're tying it into Tory Lanez situation, because it reminds me of, and this is what they're showing, because y'all know I get flashes of movies and stuff. So you guys remember on the Titanic when Jack, his character Jack, got locked up, and so hey, the ship is going down, but what are you doing about the people that ended up getting locked up for committing crimes on the boat? You don't care. Everybody is just trying to get to safety, save themselves, and they leave you where you are, and it's sad, but that's kind of like what's happening with Tory. They don't want to like unravel anything else right now because they're only concerned with the bigger picture when it comes to Hollywood and how Hollywood is going to survive, because Hollywood is dying too. So in a sense, he's stuck in the middle of a death physically. And I just, again, I can never point out how sad I felt when I did his first reading. And I'm going to keep saying it, how I caught flack for what I got, because I wasn't saying it out of a hee hee ha ha thing. I felt horrible for him. I saw that it was going to be very, very unfair for him. And don't get me wrong, I can understand people that care about him that didn't want to hear that, you know. And I wish I could have spoken life into him being able to get out of it. That I'm hearing sacrificial lamb and all that kind of stuff. But there are certain things, believe it or not, within our blueprints that we do choose to go through to make us stronger. Do I think he's going to get the full 10 years? No. But we're going to get into him soon. Let's get back to Hollywood and what they have. So basically what they're doing is they're just like, to hell with all of y'all. We got to pretend like we've been behaving. It's kind of similar to what I told y'all about in the other collective readings with Trump and stuff. Y'all know we're going to do that one tomorrow, like a collective reading about all the worldly stuff, like the government shutdown and all of that. But anyway, it's that example I gave y'all when it's like they know that the real people are coming home. And the whole time they've been having all these house parties, telling lies, making us think this or that. They were mistreating the kids that they were supposed to be babysitting and all that kind of stuff. And now everybody's running, trying to get right, because they realize they can't use their lies, their false illusions, their glamour to recover anything. It's over. The earth is cleansing itself. It's opening up. It's blossoming. The frequency is higher. That's why they have to go to where they are going. Okay, in Egypt. What are they calling it? The House of Giza. So they're going to Giza. And one thing that Spirit wanted me to point out to y'all with that is a junction. Giza rests on what we call 3 important ley lines, right? It's one of the strongest places on earth because of the energy. And like my breathing is changing. So it's going to be a lot, y'all. It's going to be a lot. Oh my God. And so I'm interested to see what type of rules and regulations is going to take place in regards to Hollywood being able to take the Grammys over there for that event, you know, the 3-day event or however many days it's going to be. But it's just it's a part of the beginning of their restart. And one thing I did see too is that is what I just said in the beginning. They're looking for new talent. That's why you're going to see a lot of expose type energy. You know, you're going to see a lot of new this and that, because it is. And they're like, to hell with old Hollywood. And that's why a lot of them are just going through what they're going through. They're not trying to take their money and fix nothing old when they could take their money and invest it in something new. They're getting new, pure, clean energy. And it's the upgraded DNA that they need now. You know, that's just what it is. We've been talking about this since 2023. Can never say it enough. And so yes, it is energy harvesting, as I'm sure most of you caught on to. It's a surrendering. There are a lot of apologies happening. And like I said, I can't wait to see how it's going to be regulated, what the rules are going to be like. And most of all, what type of exchange are they trying to make with this land, right? I don't feel like they're powerful enough to make any exchange. That's why they're going inside of that portal to just rebirth the entire industry in that sense. So again, I said that there are 3 ley lines, that junctions, right? So these 3 ley lines connect to places like Mecca, the Bermuda Triangle. What else? It has Atlantis memory lines. So, and another thing about it is that it's ancient land over top of ancient land as well now. Because remember, I said it has Atlantis memories of that. It's a ley line that's still there that's connected to Atlantis as well. So Mecca, Stonehenge, yeah, a couple of other ones. But y'all get my drift, right? When I say Mecca, Stonehenge, the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, ley lines are they're going right on top of that junction right there, because it's going to stretch out to all those important places on the earth, and that's a lot of energy. Okay, and so that's basically what this is about. It's just happening right in front of us now. We're here. So again, I thank my dear friend for letting me know that it has started, because it definitely has started. What does that mean for us? Nothing. Sit your asses down, be still, and continue to eat your popcorn, because all of this exposure and everything is all a part of the death. Things must be destroyed in order for other things to be reborn. And the powers that be that's above all of this, they ain't going to throw themselves in the fire. But let's see what type of cards we get. But what I do feel like, oh, yes, thank you, Spirit. So then another thing I did get that they were warning about is, so there are some, though, because I'm hearing sacrificial lambs. There are some people that's in the industry that need to be mindful of what they are signing up for if they decide to attend this event, because they are needed to be a part of the apology and the surrendering. Again, yet another form of them throwing other people in the fire to benefit off of. So not only are they going to this land to apologize and surrender and try to make things right and rebirth things and see what type of new DNA they could get and then go global. And also, I want to point out that they refer to Giza also as the oneness of the earth. Let me say that again. They refer to Giza as the oneness of the earth. What have the conspiracy theory been all of these years about the all seeing eye, right? New World Order, right? And how they wanted to make everything what? One on this earth. And what is Hollywood getting ready to do? Go what? Global. Yeah. Another thing someone pointed out, this is flashing in front of me. I can't remember which content creator pointed this out, and it was a couple of months ago, and I never thought about it. But this person, it might have been somebody that Art of Dialogue interview, but they pointed out that it might have been Professor Griff. Like, there's an energy just talking away. It was someone, it could have been one of them. Someone like that was in rap, and now they are very conscientious, and they're spreading all this knowledge about how the industry really is, because they pointed out that in contracts, when you read over them, years ago and even now, they have clauses that state the term global. And he said that was something that he noticed years ago and was like, and I think he said this was in the 80s when they were putting the term global in contracts. And he thought to himself, well, if I'm an American artist and we're on American soil and I'm producing music from America, why do they have the term global in these clauses? Right? Now, one would think, yeah, because then you'll be importing and exporting your music and selling it overseas and all that kind of stuff. But I just think, and that could be true, but some artists don't make it that far, or some end up selling more outside of America and not in America. But wouldn't one think that if they're a new artist and they're starting out, that the terminology will often surround the word nationwide more so than it would global? It just, I don't know. Comment below how you feel about it, because like I said, yeah, I get it when you are selling music outside of, you plan to ship your music outside of the country, especially when it was physical copies, like with CDs and things like that. But it was so, I can't remember all that he said surrounding the term, but the way it was worded in a specific sentence that he pointed out, it told me all I needed to know. So yeah. All right. So let's take a, but thank you, Spirit. Y'all know I be branching off and going over here and over there. It's so many messages. So back to the artists and other entertainers that's still in old Hollywood, but have the Midas touch. They are hybrids. They are different. They're not 100%. Okay, how do I explain these people? They are the people that are resilient. Like no matter what, they still get back up. I guess you could use Chris Brown as an example. Someone that continued to evolve. They're kind of like showing Cisco too, like different people that went through that were blackballed and they couldn't eat at this table and that table, but they still made a way and they still are remembered and all that. It's just that I guess you could say Chris Brown is on a higher level, being that all that he accomplished this year with his touring and stuff. But there are other ones too that survived a lot that they couldn't speak on or hadn't spoken on quite yet. And they're very successful. They're just not seen, but they have great control of their currency, right? Not the money, not the physical representation of the currency. And this is because they're hybrids, basically, is what I would say. So they understand energy more than the actual physical money, which means they can always be resilient and manifest more and rise above certain things that they become shackled to. Tory Lanez will be one too. So now I love how that just looped back in like that. That is dope. So he's one of them too. They're kind of like naming certain people that need to be careful when it comes to attending this event, because you're going to catch strays. So you have to be mindful, aware, and have a plan on, be knowledgeable, try to get as much knowledge as you can of what's truly going on, and then go in there with the correct intentions, and that means to be aligned with God. And don't think that this is a unity thing, because it's not. The elitists said to hell with y'all. Even the hybrids that kept rising back up, that managed to make it into the industry, which they were supposed to be transmuters, basically. They were not supposed to follow any of the blueprints of what the powers that be had in place. They were supposed to always break through things, which is why they always got in the most trouble and things like that too. And that's why they were punished in unfair ways. But if they use them and take them with them, that gives them grace even more. So one have to ask themselves, do you want to be a part of something where you're going to become another sacrificial lamb to their success? Where you're going to be responsible to elevating them to continue to lie to the world now, not America, and not spicks and specks of other places outside of America, but now globally, right? So that's something that the hybrids that made it in the industry need to think about when they decide that they want to attend. They need to understand what they're going to be used for. And a lot of taking their energy into Giza with them is going to give them grace. But it'll be at their expense, and they have to really be mindful of that. They're going to take a lot of hits for no reason, like they always have been doing. It's time for them to decide to break that. Okay. Six of Pentacles with the Queen of Wands here. Another thing in Hollywood that we're about to see. There they are right there, the kids. A lot of moms are going to start to be exposed, and I was able to pick this up a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago. But yeah, a lot of moms are going to be exposed that were moms to children. Some of it will be orchestrated. And the reason why they're telling me this is because some of them may think like, okay, if I just be quiet, if I just do right by my child now and run around and fix it now, everything. No. A lot of it will be intentional and orchestrated, because remember, a lot of things still need to be destroyed. As and when this time is coming up, they're going to want everything to be nice and steady and quiet and stable when they do this event. So they don't need no noise. So anything that look a little out of place or ruffled, they're going to pull a plug on that shit. And the next thing they're about to pull a plug on are these child star moms. So a lot of them might want to start meditating and reflecting on what type of role that they play, and the lesson into this is that they don't need to repent to the powers that be. They need to fall on their knees and pray to God and get their relationships right with their children. All of these moms need to get their relationships right with these child stars if they're still here and have breath in their body to do it, because that's the only thing that's going to save them. So that's what we're going to see next. And I want to say that those are lower level black widows, little hyenas right there, little flamingos, little Jezebel spirits. A lot of them living vicariously through their children, pimping their children, selling their children, lying on their children, just because they didn't have the talent that their children had to get in places and access that they wanted to get into. But I mean, we're finding out what Hollywood was. It was all illusion. Glamour spells is what they call it. That's all it was. And it isn't working anymore. It's crumbling beneath their feet. So now they have to go put their feet on some soil to regenerate themselves. And again, like I said, some of the hybrids that's still in the industry need to be careful that they're not used at their expense. Empress card with the Ace of Swords, because it will work. It can work. That's the tricky part about it. This thing we call free will, it still exists, you know, and companies, organizations, groups, and within oneself too as well. But I see that they're making, here it is, Hierophant, they're making a choice as a group to, you know, certain ones that they pick that's on the same page to hold hands, and hey, you know, they're going to make them people feel special. So now they're even showing, like, that's why some people ended up finally getting Grammys and stuff like that. It's like, just let's make it right with them. So then when we invite them to this, we can use them to cover ourselves. It happens, you know, that like we're all fragmented pieces of Jesus. So we're going to, like, there's nothing new underneath the sun. So you're going to see where that bloodline is going to continue to be hung on the cross and crucified in different ways. And this is one of them. That this can happen if they're not careful and they don't understand what's going on. Oh, and they're going to get beautiful invitations, all dripped in gold and everything. You know, you can headline it. They're being used. And that's why it's no different than what Diddy did too, right? When he felt that trouble coming up, that he probably knew about before we did, and that's why he was like, hey, y'all can get y'all royalties, y'all can get y'all publishing, please. This is the same formula, just started with Diddy. All right, so let's see what else here. Any more messages that we want to explore in Hollywood? So yeah, the moms, the child star moms are about to be ooh y'all. High Priestess, Ace of Wands. High Priestess, Ace of Wands with the Hermit card, yeah. It's nothing, ain't nothing you can do. Tower card. Did he say 1, 2, meet me outside? They ain't got no choice, right? Wheel of Fortune. They knew this was coming. They know. They already knew. They just wasn't sure of the exact year, but they're getting, like, you know, the more you go on, things unfold, and they're starting to see little signs and feathers and symbols and shit to let them know, like, yeah, time for us to pack this shit up, y'all. Gotta go pray. We gotta go pretend like we care. Star card. Looking at have the top astrologers in the world, looking at whatever, telling them how to move. I'm hearing Eastern Star. So there is something. Wait a minute. Isn't Orion's belt underneath Giza? Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, they're showing even something with the, with the alignment with the stars and stuff too, and how something will, I'm hearing disintegrating though. Huh. Yeah, no, I won't prepare for this one when this little star popped out. I did hear Eastern Star though, and oh, okay. So I'm seeing too next year at these major events that's going to happen, which a lot of them will be very much outside of America. I see salutes to secret societies or something that's going to go on too. Like I see some of them in formation in their uniforms. There may be some sort of salute to even some part of the military branches and stuff. It looks very uniform. Like some of the themes may even be that certain uniformed organizations are leading them, or they are themed around them, and all the symbolism and stuff that'll be there. But it's gonna be obvious, y'all. I know y'all just like, well, Diamond, that's easy. They'll do that in you. No, it's gonna be very obvious. Like it's like they may have a segment where it's like, we have the such and such from this secret society that's going to be presenting this, or doing a segment, a 10 or 15 minute segment, and they're going to fire off their their guns for 16 shots to pay homage to this or that. It's going to be something like that. It's almost given the energy of like how when someone in the military die and then their fellow military branch members come and put the American flag on their coffin and they fire off shots to salute them and all that. And then in the hood, if you want to get a little hood with it, it's similar to how they pour out the 40 for the dead homies kind of shit. Something like that's going to be going on at all of these ceremonies that are usually held in America that's going to be held in other countries. Yep, y'all gonna see it. All right, so now Tory, let's take a look. All right, let's see Tory here. All right, so from my understanding, his appeal was rejected, and all I can say is actually not much to say about it. It's just a part of, this might sound shallow though, so I'm trying to be very sensitive to the nature of this, you know, what he's going through. Oh yes, thank you, Spirit, you reminded me. Okay, now I don't feel bad to say this. So it's just a part of his journey, you know, and what he wanted to go through to come out strong. We do that. Let me put it into perspective for y'all and to those of y'all who believe in like reincarnation and things like that. When you're in heaven and you're working on a blueprint, you think you're, I guess it would be equivalent to being on some whatever type of substance stimulation that you have in the mind during that time that you're feeling euphoric. You're going to think you can do and handle anything. And the more you go through, you magnify your life for God, the more your auras change, like when you return back home. Like it reflects in your energetic field. And so like when other soul groups look at you, you're identifiable. Like I always used to tell people, coming to earth, just coming to earth and saying like, hey, I just want to enter in and leave out, like, so you can abort me or I'm gonna be a stillborn or whatever like that. We'll get into spirit babies and all that kind of stuff later. But a lot of times to even do that, it's like the highest honor in your energetic field back in heaven. To have even chose to come to earth. So could you imagine if you are able to accomplish a lot while you're living here on earth, to magnify your life for God? And for him, that's kind of like what they're equating his journey out to and what he's going through. And then of course, then we already talked about the crucifixion of Jesus and this bloodline and all of that. It's just little fragmented experiences of what has already happened on earth several times to the bloodline, to the resilient, to the chosen ones, right? Now, it was something else. I think it left me when it came to Tory that they definitely wanted to point out, and that's why I was okay with bringing this up about him. Let me see. Hopefully it'll come back in. But for the most, oh yes, thank you. Finally. So what's going to happen here with him though? What I feel is going to happen is, because I'm seeing some type of paperwork, right? There's this loophole that's going to come in. And it ties into, it's going to link back to his situation of his stabbing that happened. That's going to be used on so many different levels. And it's reminding me of how like these old laws that aren't active in different states nationwide, but certain states have them. It's something like that they're showing me. So it's almost like, okay, y'all know how like that Brene girl and how all that happened in the state of North Carolina. I think Mississippi still has this law. Utah has this law where you can sue your spouse for infidelity or whatnot. That's still legal in certain states. I think 7, they said. I feel like there is something surrounding his stabbing with documents that's going to come up that they can use as a loophole for something to get something shorted or to really change his experience to where he's not as restricted. Because a part of this also for Tory is it's almost like, I'm not going to call it a retreat yet because that y'all, you know, I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible, but I'm trying to help y'all understand what's really going on with him spiritually with this and how we'll all eventually see it. And we don't have anything to worry about. And I don't think it's going to be 10 years. However, I do think that the journey that he's on is going to branch off from different levels of restriction, and each one will become less and less. But it's like he's going to be unlocking more and more within himself spiritually to the point that when he comes out, I don't feel that he's going to be the type of artist that he was when he went in. And y'all can say, duh, I mean, he had it. But no, I'm saying like, and I don't even think it's going to be a case where he's like going to be strict like gospel or anything like that either. He gives me his father's energy, you know. And I remember doing a second reading on him after his sentencing, doing an update from a request that I had received. And yeah, they always pointed out like a Nelson Mandela, or, you know, something like that for him. Gandhi, all that kind of stuff. Where, and it don't look strict though. He feels free in it. It doesn't feel so uniformed. It doesn't feel like, how do I explain it? You know how some people be so deep into something that it just put limits on it where it's not attractive to other people. Whatever it is he's gonna do, it's very free flowing, and people, it's just, he's gonna emanate the light out to where people are just gonna naturally feel that he's relatable and just join in without any instructions, without this certain type of hierarchy of like some sort of pyramid scheme, or I'm more powerful and then you guys follow me. No, it's this equal exchange of, they're calling them disciples and things like that. But just for lack of better term, to what doesn't exist yet, but still would be similar to what has happened in the past with our great leaders and all of the suffering and sacrificing that they went through to then evolve into something great that shifts the frequency of the earth. This is kind of like what that is. If you think of any leaders from the past that were honest leaders of the past, they've been nailed to the cross. You know, they couldn't move. They've been teased and lied on, and you know, and even now, that's what I forgot to put on there. You know, I didn't. Did I put Michael's biopic on there? I wanted to explore that because, like, even now with that, if you notice, a lot of people now are now telling their stories, or you know, and then there are stories resurfacing from 2 and 3 years ago that probably didn't make it through the algorithm as much as it should have, because the Michael Jackson biopic is coming up. But now you are hearing more entertainers admit that they didn't believe it was true. But as you notice, when certain things unfold, they are all like radio silent, because it is dangerous. The industry is really made up more of criminals than it is of true art. Everything is controlled by money and crime, really. So you can't, certain things you say, you lose your life, you know. And yeah, so I'm noticing that too. I don't know if any of you noticed that, but yeah. So with him, it's not much really to say. It's just a little more time, because it's going to train him to, or unlock more answers that he needs. It's a certain process he wrote to go through in order to obtain the maximum results. You know what I'm saying? It's like he wanted to dot all his I's and cross all his T's when he decided that he wanted to go through this sort of awakening. This is a true awakening for him. And they're saying in black man energy of some sorts as well. That's interesting. But well, I guess it depends. All right, so yeah, I'm not getting much for him, but I don't feel like he's gonna do that full 10, and I do feel like even though he seems restricted, his fight is harder than what they can keep up with, and I feel like he will discover something surrounding some law, and I feel like it do rope into the stabbing. It's almost like when people do things to you thinking that they can kill you off or slow you down or delay you, sometimes they just kind of like push you forward, and that's just all this is. They kind of like unlock something for him that if he doesn't give up, he'll find, and he's not going to give up, you know. And I do see him changing things on the inside too of certain facilities with prison and all that kind of stuff. He's not going to be who he was when he went in. I don't even think he's going to be in his life purpose. Yes, that's what I mean. And I don't even think he's going to, I don't know if he's even going to be interested in a certain level of music. I think he'll always love it, but when he's in his life purpose, it's just going to be like a component that goes along with what his main career, job, and life purpose will be. But I can't even see him just hopping out and just being an artist. No. And if he was to do that, he might as well have stayed in and shot him himself. And I know that sounds harsh, but I'm just saying, because he took on this lifetime, he wants a certain type of honor. And he's doing great, although it may not seem like it. And it hurts at first, but all of the resilient ones go through it. And it's very harsh. It's very harsh at first. Okay? But so what I was saying, if he gets out and he does that, it's gonna be beneath him. I'm gonna just be honest. Like, just coming out and just being an artist, he's gonna have too much knowledge, right? So again, that's why I said it too, because then it'll be a total disgrace to his level of responsibility when he comes out, that he promised God. He has this whole covenant that he formed with God, and he's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. All right, and now Diddy. All right, so with him, what I noticed, what I got for him was that I noticed and I heard that, or saw that, is this alleged or no? But he got caught with the substance. Was he making wine or something up in there or something like that? Right? And then he has been trying to get to a prison in New Jersey, like a rehabilitation, one that's more of a rehabilitation. Now, what's very interesting about this is when I used to do Quincy's readings, I used to see Quincy in a rehabilitation center. But for him, it felt more of like a therapy kind of thing. So I wonder if this sort of rehabilitation center, because I did notice that they said this particular prison with the rehabilitation program in it allows him to get full family visits and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder if that's what that was. Child, you never know sometimes until things start to unfold. So I wonder, because I always used to see flashes of Quincy in a day room. And it was a rehabilitation center. But I feel like there are certain things he may decide to get into, therapy-wise. But what's also going to happen, you know what? This is going to be dope. And I think they are saying he's going to get it. You know why? Now this is making sense, because I'm also seeing where, of course, he's going to have to, I think a part of what they're going to make him do, he's going to have to get there, like family therapy and stuff. A lot is going to come out. So that is still true. So there is some sort of breakdown that Quincy's could end up still having. Where he'll end up either staying in a facility similar, or because of that facility or that sort of counseling or therapy will then have him evolve into continuing out some sort of therapy or so. Now, one point I did get, witness protection and stuff for him too. But, we see what timeline he kept, what path he's continuing to choose. So because of that, it's still certain things you're still going to get there. There's several ways to get there. You're still going to get there. That's what I'm explaining now to those of you who may be confused when it comes to pathways and timelines, free will, decision making, and how scenarios play out according to your free will and the decision that you make. I seem to confuse people when I speak on that. So I try to be as clear as possible, but it's such an energy that doesn't really have a certain type of dialect or terminology yet that it's just, I still don't do it any justice when I try to explain it and channel at the same time to try to get you guys to see, because I try to focus on the timeline that they're on and give you the outcome of that. But they could wake up the next day and say, well, nope, I don't want to do that. And they could change the trajectory of whatever it is that they had going on in that particular timeline. However, the whole point of the matter would be that they'll still get the same lessons that they want to get. They either going to get it the hard way or the less hard way. But they're going to get there in the end. They're going to get to where they need to get in the end, right? And so that's why certain things will cross, certain things will be similar, certain things they can cancel out, certain things they could get more of. It's not linear. That's why it's hard to explain, because we know gravity and we know chronological order, we know time and we know linear time, like how things are supposed to happen in order, when really when you're in the ethers, it don't work like that. All right, so back to Diddy. So what I picked up on here with that, and the reason why, because, I saw somebody do a commentary on it, and they're like, well, he's getting extra days at it now because got caught with the wine. All of that is intentional, guys. We have to remember that Diddy still has the brain that Diddy has. So he's the loophole king. Like, he's going to always look for these loopholes. Hell, no, I'm not going to do that. No, he don't need to be teaming up with them. But because I think something, like I said, something similar is going to happen with Tory, but it's going to be on a positive level. Whereas Diddy's is more on a scheming, scamming. I don't give up. I'm trying to figure out how to get the fuck from up out of here kind of thing. I feel like they're going to They're going to give it to him, but I feel like in exchange, if they give it to him, it's more exposure that has to happen if they do. Now, I don't know if he knows that far ahead yet, but what I do feel like, though, is in addition to this, the reason why that was intentional. Him getting caught with the substance was intentional. Why? Because he wants to go to a different prison because he has substance abuse addiction issues, right? So how do you prove that? You have to kind of not know limitations. You have to act like you still have an addiction. But where he messed up at and where it looks obvious is that like all of a sudden now you get caught with wine. You should have been doing it. You should have been catching violations, son, like all throughout. Why wasn't he doing it then? Because it would have worked against his case when he was going to court this summer. So now it's like, okay, now what do we do? This nigga never sleeps, I don't think, almost. It's like his mind is always trying to get into the next part of what, did I just call him the N-word? I'm sorry, y'all, that's the energy, but I'm just saying it's like, it's the vibration behind that word with his ass. It's like a roach. Like he just don't die. It's like... But I'm telling you, that's how I always knew he was that black that we needed. If that's why they're not cracking down hard on him. If he's gone, we have no contrast. He is the strongest representation visually as our contrast. Trust me, there are other ones pulling the streets behind, and those are women that I can't wait till we get there. I don't care about the men and stuff being exposed because they aren't the real evil ones. We have some high-end women that are the real evil ones that's operating these men that look evil. That's why you have this pattern of women always getting away with stuff and being like given grace and all of that because it's women that are really running the shit in the most evil way possible. And we are getting little clues about it because how do you think these women are getting to these men if it ain't other women that's bringing these women to these men? It's just, and they bring them in. It's like, it's a pyramid kind of thing, or, you know, that's just what it is. They're just lower level black widows and madams and shit. You know, the ones up high don't have to touch nothing and get their hands dirty. But anyway, but they use their businesses and empires to then, you know, siphon the energy and circulate their currencies and stuff. Y'all gonna find out. Y'all see. Hopefully this lifetime. But anyway, so like I said, it's all a strategy. So now let's get caught with the wine. So then when we go back in front of the judge, you can say, see, he's struggling with addiction. It's too heavy on him. He really needs to go to this facility. That's all it is. And he probably will get it. Or he's just gonna keep it up, but he's trying to play chess a little bit or balance it out. It's like gambling in a sense. It's like, all right, we don't want to get too many violations. I believe he didn't had his lawyer probably contact a person that studies stats and the probability of stuff. Y'all know those analysts that study numbers and the probability of something selling and this and that. And they already have something mapped out for him. He has it in data form. They are looking at the damn percentages and shit. All right, don't do it that many times. It's going to raise the percentage of this. We need to keep this balance. And pie charts and bar graphs and all types of shit. So it ain't really much to get in with him, no more than they're trying to find like the center place of how to do it where they'll eventually get it approved where he could go. And I do feel like he can, but like I said, but with that will come family exposure. It's going to go from now, you know, all that was exposed during his trial, that when he goes to this facility for rehab and all that, and the family spending time, now it's going to trickle down to them and their inner work and all this shadow work. And then I think I told someone this, and then I don't know if I said it publicly or not, but his next big thing is going to be beef with the last baby mom, Love's mom. That's going to be very interesting, and that's going to be, this is where it honestly gets good. It's the family dynamic. So I hope he do. I hope he do, and I hope that one of his restrictions or one of his requirements is that he do, like, you want more family access, y'all going to get therapy, and it's just going to bring so much out. And I feel like he should be punished if one kid don't show up. Like, I feel like it's going to be very restricted, but it's going to be very family based. And it is going to be the good stuff. It is what we are going to want to see, you know, because it's going to also get the kids talking and get them to where they need to be too, as far as the blockages that they had on their careers because of him and all that kind of stuff. I feel like he will trade it off, but because you know why he think he's gonna get there and then be able to control and control and control. Okay, next level control, because I told y'all he don't sleep. But he won't be able to once they get there. This is what I've been waiting for. Lord, let them get it, and let the requirement be family therapy, and all of them have to show up like they're supposed to. If one don't, he get days at it, or either some, you know, there are penalties for it. It's gonna be tough if he do. Y'all let him go. Let him go to the cleaner facility. It's harder work. Trust me. That's why I always told people, like, and I always told y'all he wouldn't get over 5 years or whatever, and that it's still all slow-paced forms of exposure and punishment. This is what we want. You know, this is what we want, because it's like that one guy that holds a lot of people hostage, and he tells the feds and stuff, if y'all come any closer, all these people go. They can't do that. You have to be smart, right? So the feds got to think, those are some great people in there. Yeah, we want that one guy, but we don't want to lose all these witnesses and people that could get us more. So how do we do this? So every level with him, yes, it will be negotiations that may look like he's getting his way, but it's a strategy to it. And I always said that too, right? Before the trial, before any of this. And this is exactly what this looks like. And this is what this means. Okay. So let him go. Let him go on to the clean spot, because it's going to get harder. It's going to get harder. I know y'all like, man, you're going to be living lavish. Well, anyway, like, why does it even matter to you of how harsh of a punishment he get anyway, right? The only reason why I said what I said, though, is because it's going to help more than just, it's going to be more than just about him if he was to get to this level. It's going to be exactly where we need to be, because we need the kids to be free. Like, we need them to talk. That's where it is. All this other stuff, that's why people weren't so happy with the case, because they knew, like, this ain't nothing. This is a circus. And I told y'all it would be, because it wasn't. The truth is him getting to that rehab center and really being around his family, and then requiring him to get therapy and stuff. That's where the good stuff is. And that's where the change is going to be. And that's the victory that we're going to want to see. Okay? The evolution, at least. Because I'm going to tell you now, he is our contrast. So I can't promise y'all that he, you know what I'm saying? They're going to kind of like keep pumping a little, shocking him with that thing that they shock people back to life with. They are. But that's still punishment, right? I feel like Diddy is going to eventually get so tired of going through realms of thinking he's making it out, and then they slap him with something even harder each level, that he's going to try. He's going to try, y'all. He's going to try to take himself out eventually. And they're going to keep bringing him back. No, that's punishment. Because I always told y'all, eventually see him in a wheelchair and all that kind of stuff. And he's eventually, like, but even in a wheelchair chair at first, it's going to still be a little nasty and all that. But eventually, like, when things start to go bit by bit, his hearing, all that kind of stuff, he's going to be trying to low-key take himself out, but act like, oh, I couldn't remember, I overtook this. No. He's going to be trying to take himself out, and then they're going to be like, no, you're not. Come on back. Shock him. Dents and stuff all in his chest. Now, see, the good stuff ain't happened yet, y'all. Trust me, okay? All right. And how he's getting caught up his own floor. The height of his cancer is getting approved to go to a different prison. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a part 2, and that one, that's where I'll cover Nicki Minaj and. Okay, yes. So in the next one, I'll cover Big Sean and Janae Aiko and Nicki Minaj, and I might add a couple of more, because this is getting very lengthy, right? And let me let y'all digest all this first, and then we'll catch up and we'll return maybe Thursday, because what's tomorrow? Tuesday? Wednesday, because I'm going to do just a collective about you guys tomorrow. It'll be about y'all. No, it won't. I think it'll be about the government. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. We'll see, but we'll continue, and we'll cover those 2 and maybe a few more that may pop in. Okay. All right, guys. Well, my name is Diamond. You're watching Pretty Blind Eyes, and I'll see you next go around. Bye.